Welcome to Onward, episode 84 with your host, Minda Honey, and this week's guest, Nick McRae, co-founder of Meta Construction. But first, the news. Actually, first, let's talk about this beautiful background we have now. Like, we're really getting a lot of character over here in the Switcher Studio.
Yeah, I mean, there's further changes to come, too.
Yeah. Maybe coffee mugs.
Well, I mean, this is all Switcher stuff, so I'm not gonna.
Did you hear that? I'm never getting
commit
coffee
to
mugs.
anything.
I'm never getting a coffee mug.
Yeah, I mean, so it was first the little metal rod thing came out, so we had a regular wall, and then Switcher team is like showing off product in the day. This looks good. Looks professional.
Yeah, it's great.
It's good.
Coffee mugs would be even better. So let's.
Who drinks coffee at 3:30 in the afternoon? You don't even drink coffee.
A lot of people drink coffee at 3:30 in the afternoon. That's like the prime time, right? When you get a little sluggish.
Isn't like 3 o'clock proven to be the sleepiest time?
Yeah. If I wasn't shooting Onward, I'd be napping.
Yeah. All right.
That's gonna be my motto. If I wasn't doing this, I'd be asleep. I'm like a slumber party vampire. Just roll me out. Okay, this tangent has gone on way too long. Let's talk about the news. What do we got?
Let's
Cue
see.
me up.
First, something about Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, right. So, fellow Minda Zetlin, wrote for Inc. magazine about the top 5 best cities to start a business in because your business is more likely to be profitable. Seattle was number 1, and a little place you may have heard of, Louisville, Kentucky, was number 2. She says, I was gonna read.
Oh, that you had it.
He like killed the teleprompter. Just like upping the challenge, like the host challenge, like raising the bar every week.
Memorize it.
Tourism is a big economic driver in Louisville, and the entire world comes to town 2 weeks every year to watch the Kentucky Derby. Does she know that the Kentucky Derby is only 2 minutes long? This city has only 13,404 businesses, but 69.98% of them are turning a profit.
We're going to round up.
Yeah.
We'll go 70.
70, yeah, 7 out of 10 businesses in this city are turning a profit.
That's amazing.
Is one of them yours?
Not yet. I'm marching that way.
Minda Honey Incorporated turns a profit. Don't tell the IRS. That's a joke. I pay my taxes. Next up, Canopy, Kentucky is hiring.
Yeah, you want to see what positions?
Yeah, it's just the one position. What is that, like Director of Operations, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can just go to canopykentucky.org and sign up. And Canopy, they are, what are they doing? They're like increasing the density of nonprofits in the city, or?
No, it says Canopy is a transformative nonprofit organization aiming to make Kentucky first in good business. So it's kind of a gateway to the B Corp status.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So
Yeah.
if you'd like to be the Director of Operations at Canopy, where they are being a gateway to good business, you should go apply. There's a whole bunch of details about them and about the position, and I think it said that it was like 70 to 80K annually. So
Yeah, I mean,
you
it's
live real comfortable in Louisville on that.
it seems like a good organization as well. I mean, Scott Collins, who's been on our show.
We had him on the show. You can flip into the archives and check that out.
60, some 50, some 50 something, 60 something, somewhere in there.
We should probably at some point just make a list of like that's like the number, like the episode number and the guest. We should have that.
I have that.
You'll probably end up having to do it for.
I have it.
Oh, you do have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have that.
Maybe I should.
Also
have it.
tracking tracking a bunch of stuff. I've got your name on there, who hosted, what number, all
Yeah,
that stuff.
so we should maybe like send me the link to that so that way when I pull the news together, we can be like episode. We can confidently say what episode it is instead of being like.
Go peruse the website.
Just keep scrolling until you see something you like.
Throw a dart at one episode and check it out.
We've also, next Wednesday, Founder Series is trucking right along. It's going to be at The Root, and Leap hosts that with Techstars. And this week's guest is going to be talking about cap tables, right?
Yep,
And
David Wilbrand. David Wilbrand,
David
demystifying the cap table. It's a workshop.
Yeah. So if you're confused, if cap tables seem mystical to you, You can come get them demystified. Are you familiar with David Wilburn?
Yes, although I haven't met him personally yet.
So what's his claim to fame?
He does a lot of legal work for startups. I think he's out of Cincinnati.
Oh, he's out of Cincinnati.
But we can bring Nick in on this. And don't founders have a lot of trouble with cap table?
Oh, yeah.
Thinking about it, like
Yeah, keeping up to date is definitely tough.
yeah. I mean, so it seems like there's a lot of it's. Typically, whenever I go talk with a founder, they're aside from worrying so much about the business, they're also worried about just the ownership structure, and that's where the cap table is. I mean, that's how you kind of codify and log everything. So, being able to keep track of that and keep it clean and really figure it out, I think is very top of mind for a lot of founders. So come on out to that. You said it's at the Root on Wednesday.
And it's very affordable because it's free.
Hey,
The route would be in New Albany, right? That's
the
a good
Root
spot.
is in New Albany.
it's the free bridge too.
Yeah, you can take the free bridge to the free workshop and then have enough money left over to buy yourself some tacos
There you
across
go.
the street at Longbird Tiki Taco. They do not pay me to help them.
Only Switcher.
Switcher doesn't pay me either, but we can work something out, Switcher. All right, what else? What else we got up there? Oh, Introduction to Angel Investing meeting. That's today. So if you're trying to put your cash towards some startups, you should go. You should go to this. And it's at iHub.
Yeah, might have already started, but still go
Oh, it
pop
already
in.
started?
Still go pop in.
Wait, I thought it was like an afterward thing.
Well, it says a 3 to 5, but
3 to 5?
yeah.
How am I supposed to have money to invest if I...
You think
am just,
angels got regular
free
day
at
jobs?
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
You think angels have regular day jobs?
Yes. Because as someone without a regular day job who also doesn't have funds to invest, I thought those things went hand in hand. Thought that loosey-goosey lifestyle didn't, make well for having, big flush. But it's fine. It's fine. Okay.
So yeah, go by there. That's Alex Day, Sheltoi, iHub. You could still pop in. They do these very, very regularly as well.
Sure.
So we'll try to give a little bit more heads up on the next one that's coming
because
up.
we definitely have a paucity of angels in the city.
Yeah.
So it's not that we don't got the money. Some of y'all got the money. You just don't know where to spread your wings. So
Yeah.
where to hang your halo. So,
And for those viewers, we do encourage you to go peruse the videos and just pick out some good companies to invest
throw
in.
some money at
Yeah.
You can just stop at episode
Yeah.
84. I don't think there's any need to go much further.
Well, yeah.
Well, speaking of episode 84, sell them. Why should angels invest in meta construction? What are y'all doing?
Sure. So we've got a big market, but a narrow market. We're helping asphalt contractors, and we're reducing the number of dump trucks that they need in order to, perform their job, putting pavement down or removing the roads. They don't own all of their dump trucks usually, so they have multiple subcontractors that they use. And because of that, they can't use traditional GPS systems on other people's trucks. So we've got a virtual fleet management solution. It's fleet management software built for companies that don't own their fleet. And we use mobile phones as a GPS device instead of putting physical devices on there. That way you can hit start and stop, and you're only visible on the map for the people who should see you for the time when they should see you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Seems like this technology would have application for other industries and fields too.
Definitely. We're looking at keeping the construction theme, getting into municipal utilities or trade contractors. There's lots of other applications. But as you get into kind of monitoring and managing smaller fleets, there's other alternatives out there, and it's kind of a crowded market. So our primary customer segment is going to be asphalt contractors. So we're working on highways.
So how did you identify this issue? How did you get into the asphalt game?
Sure. My business partner actually was working in heavy highway construction, and we met in the Entrepreneurship MBA program at U of L. So we were trying to come up with a problem or find a problem that we had some experience to go out and find a solution for. So he was working on a bridge rehabilitation job and saw dump trucks just kind of lining the side of the highway and started drilling into that to see why they do that and what's the issue there. My background has been in software development, kind of enterprise software development. And prior to starting a consulting company in 2009-10 area, I worked for a GPS startup company in Indianapolis. So kind of putting those things together, we started to do a bunch of customer discovery and realize what was really there and dig in.
Oh, did you ever go to the Esri conference?
No, I haven't been to that one. We went to World of Asphalt in Houston, but
Oh, no, this is more GPS.
Oh,
GPS
okay.
related
Got
kind of
it.
stuff. Okay, cool.
World of Asphalt's great. You should go check it out.
Should I?
Yeah, maybe not.
Seems like there'd be a lot of eligible bachelors at the World of Asphalt. And you know they're making good money because they're laying asphalt. Seems like it'd be a male-dominated
Quite
industry.
possibly, sure.
I might go to World of Asphalt. Is that in Indy? That's a short drive.
Actually, it was last year. I think they're taking a year off, and I can't remember where they're going to be next. But yeah,
I will put it on the calendar.
I'll need an invite to that wedding. Then just part matchmaker there.
Get my crew together. Wonderful. Okay, so now is the World of Asphalt, is this a technology leery industry, or are they open, and how are you gonna kind of saturate the market?
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely leery. There's some front runners or kind of forward thinkers, and they're jumping in and pioneering some of that technology, or at least the adoption of existing technology. But yeah, that's part of our challenge. I think that anybody has putting technology into an industrial application is getting them to change behavior. It's not so much that it's a difficult problem to solve, but it's just difficult to get everybody on board and change what they've been doing for so long. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. Because people, one, they've just been doing it the way they've been doing it for decades. They also have a very deep wealth of knowledge on what they're doing. It's a very kind of closed community. Mm-hmm. And then you also have the issue of they're working on these timelines. It's I want to try this new thing and then it doesn't work, and then it's going to cost us X amount of money instead of saving us money.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the mindset we've got to change, because the very solution we have is what would help them with that time saving, or at least identifying problems soon enough to be proactive about it. But their only lever they can pull currently is to order too many trucks, because they would rather have pay the $100 an hour for a couple, 3 to 5 extra trucks than to have the job site shut down and it costs them $1,000 an hour or more. So it's an effective means, but it's expensive. There's a lot of federal funding and state funding that goes into these jobs, and we could certainly use that money more efficiently and either increase their bottom line or free up some resources so that they can put trucks on other jobs and move forward faster. So construction projects don't have to take so long, so there's a lot of upside for it.
Are you afraid of the dump truck industry coming for you though? Because you're cutting into their very easy profits.
No, so we've had that question a lot, and I think that's a lot of concern. But the reality is that there's more funding going towards infrastructure, and there's more needs, and the resources are pretty constrained. So the fact that they're pegged 100% of the time is not a statement that we're going to start freeing up trucks and they're just going to sit idle. They're just going to be used on other jobs that we couldn't get to in time. So yeah, no, as long as that's not misunderstood and they're not coming after us, I hope I get a chance to explain it.
So maybe they'll be champions for you then, and
Yeah, it's interesting when we start looking at customer segments early on, and we sort of pegged the trucking companies and dump truck drivers themselves as saboteurs that may be able to be the ones to say, no, we're not going to do this, therefore, how do we work around that? But you're right, there's a whole scheduling dispatch piece that they have to kind of jump into to make it work, and it's just light years better than the pen and paper process that they had today. So there's a lot of benefit there, and then they can easily become a champion for it. So that's what we're hoping.
Wonderful. So where are you all right now in the process, and what are your next steps?
Yeah. So we went through the MBA program and did kind of business plan competitions, won a few of those, and got some non-dilutive funding, which was great for startup costs.
Sure.
And then we went and were in the Vote Awards and Awesome Inc. So we were definitely trying to use our community resources as best we could. Got past kind of the early product stage and demos and pilots, and then we moved on to our first paying customer towards the end of 2018. So the seasonality of the industry is another thing that's tough. Not only the slow to adopt, but the fact that it shuts down, for a couple months out of the year is not great. Yeah. So that was.
Global warming. This could become a year-round.
Yeah, that's our rollout strategy, is actually to get pretty far southeast as quickly as possible, just to lengthen that out, as well as getting into some of those other segments like plumbers and HVAC and electricians that are running year-round. But we're at probably 5 or 6 customers now that are 1 or 2 paying, and then the rest are just kind of outside of our core customer segment, but we're exploring that way. But we're sort of in this kind of post-development, stable product, kind of finding product market fit and really stretching our sales legs, as they say, so trying to figure out the next step as we kind of move into a growth phase.
Great, and how can the Louisville startup community be supportive of you all?
Yep. So with the more customers we have using the system, even if you're not technically in heavy highway construction, the more quickly we'll find kind of ancillary uses for the system, or stress test it to say. So we're at the point where we're ready to start getting this into fleets and start getting feedback from customers. So if anybody has a small fleet or knows somebody that owns small businesses where they have some trucks, we'd love to reach out and see if we can't put our system in place and start gauging some of the benefits and see what kind of ROI they get from having more visibility over their fleet.
You should reach out to the Bourbon City Cruisers, the new tour company in town. They're riding like those little tuk-tuk trucks.
Nice.
And they're, giving tours of the city, and so they definitely have a fleet.
Sure.
And I'm not sure if their employees are contract employees or not, but it's Mint Julep Tours. It's like a spin-off company off of Mint Julep.
That's very
Tours.
cool.
Yeah.
I'll definitely look at that.
Yeah. And in fact, Mint Julep Tours might also have a fleet too, because they do these bourbon tours, so they probably have like a group of vans or whatnot. So and then that would give you some very Kentucky specific.
You're not kidding, yeah. Yeah, I'd like that a lot.
Info.
Yeah.
So if anybody has the connect over at Mint Julep Tours, let Nick know.
Please and thank you.
Yeah, and do you all have social media, or what do you?
Yeah, I think it's Twitter and Facebook are both Meta CTLOU.
And CTLOU.
Yep.
Great. And now you mentioned that you were in Indy for a while doing some consulting work. Were you involved in the startup community there as well, or?
No, not then. That was where I was just finding out that I don't really fit in at full-time jobs, and that's not my thing. So.
What kind of was like the tip-off that you were not a full-time job kind of guy?
Probably every interview I had gone to kept getting incrementally more difficult because my resume was, with 2 years of experience and 3 or 4 jobs in that period of time. So I was basically already doing consulting, but just kind of all the extra HR paperwork that goes along with it as an employee hire and fire kind of thing. Or not fire, it wasn't fired.
Was it just that you got bored easily, or you just hate the business structure, or what was this?
Probably bored, but just out of the fact that it's just, you get into a role and you often kind of find a skill set that you kind of own and claim, and the fact of getting pigeonholed and then not being able to try in other areas was just kind of frustrating. So I could see that growth in each one of the companies I was at was getting stalled pretty quickly, and moving out was kind of a quick way to move into something new. So it's not so much that I like getting into businesses, and the business structure, is exactly the same, but just my engagement there is much more kind of tactical and has a purpose, and then a pretty predefined exit or requirements for what will happen, and then we leave that way. So yeah, it just fit me better. I talk fast, if you can't tell, and I think fast, and just kind of like to engage in contracts and projects quickly and move on. Except for Meta, this one's pretty here to stay.
But this one's good, every day is different, and you're constantly having to learn new things and grow with it. Like, you're dictating the speed of growth versus someone else. But yeah, so if you're a potential entrepreneur sitting out there, miserable at your job or doing a bunch of job hopping, maybe take the leap. Take the leap for real and start a startup, right?
Yeah.
Especially service-based. I had built a skill set, and it was not all that difficult to quickly become profitable, just kind of even running through recruiting agencies and finding something, and then it grew into where I was finding my own contracts, and I had fun with it. But that was part of the reason I got into the MBA program, is my knowledge of business was very much homegrown, and it was not a consulting practice or a firm that was starting to scale, and I wanted more than just kind of a job for myself. So getting into a product-based business is far different. So a decade of business management experience still doesn't really prepare you for changing customer industries and infiltrating older technologies, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, it's always different, always fun.
Yeah, so there's always more room to grow, more room to learn, and once you add in customers, things get unpredictable. Because they're always right. So, but I'm sure your beta customers are probably been more like partners for you.
Very much so. Yeah, and one thing that we kind of a mantra while we're doing development or getting feedback and implementing some of that feedback is we never want to be building custom software. It's really easy when you just have a small customer base to put their features in, just to find that they're not the same as somebody else. So, but yeah, they've been great. It's just validating assumptions and giving us feedback. So yeah, couldn't have gotten any progress without them, and more customers to come, hopefully, just like them.
Any surprising challenges that you've had that you just didn't see coming?
Nothing too far. I mean, I think pretty early on we recognized that resistance that we were going to face. It seemed like the people we were engaging with early on were really interested and kind of very receptive to it, and some of those relationships have separated or kind of become distant as we've got further along. And as a company, now it's getting more towards selling the product, and it kind of goes from partnership to more of a customer-agent relationship. So, but no, everything's been pretty much. I think going through the lean startup process and talking to customers often and really treating everything as a hypothesis and validating it means that there's not usually a bunch of surprises, or you have several little ones along the way. But yeah, everything's been pretty well in line with what we thought.
So you went through the entrepreneur program at the University of Louisville, the MBA program, and now you're in the Vote Awards. So it seems like you guys are really fully taking advantage of all the resources available to the startup community.
Yeah, I think there's always room for more too. There's been a huge surge in the last year or whatever with Techstars and Leap and Patrick and everybody being here, and I feel like I could have even been engaging more recently, but certainly with U of L's relationship and then moving on to Vote Awards and Awesome Inc. in Lexington and kind of spreading out of just the Louisville area, we did our best to get into the pitch competitions and try to be visible, and it certainly helps as soon as you're getting an article written because you're a part of that, it kind of spins into some other good press, and try to use that as much as we can.
Yeah, really developing that momentum and feeding off of that energy. But yeah, I feel like, there has been a lot of just kind of excitement here lately. So we're really excited to see where another year brings us, right?
That's right, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers or anything you'd like to add?
No, just if anybody knows anybody that I described like a small company with a small fleet, it doesn't have to be dump trucks, even though that's kind of our core customer segment, but we have a lot of parallel applications. So if anybody wants to check it out, it's free. It's one of the only GPS systems you can just self-sign up and get started without having to have hardware mailed to you or a mechanic install anything. So it's pretty easy to sign up and be tracking yourself within a couple of minutes.
So would they just go to your website to get signed up, or they go to the App Store? How does that work?
Yeah, the website, a good starting point. It's meta-ct.com.
Meta-ct.com.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Nick, for coming on. And who do we have next week, Justin?
Ellie Puckett.
Next week, old friend Ellie Puckett.
Very nice. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.